It's Christmas Eve, and high above London, the alien Sycorax are holding the Earth for ransom. The 10th Doctor must recover from his regeneration in time to save the human race from slavery. Welcome, friends and companions! Sci-fi and fantasy fans and all sort of fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and a special place on this channel for Doctor Who. Random Cause will discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music. Random Cause will broadcast non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random also because we have no guests or different guests. It depends on what you join me in the live stream or panel. If you want to join me in the live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube and we look what is possible. And it is also possible to invite me for your channel for a live stream or panel. I'm available for that. I want to contribute also on your channel. So feel free to invite me for that. The Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel. Tag Doctor Who on Discord and invite me very quick because I bump the server regularly. So cheers, mate, and lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. That's me. Today we have a 10th Doctor story called The Christmas Invasion. First, some general info about this TV story. The Christmas Invasion was the 2005 Christmas special of Doctor Who. It was the show's first Christmas special since its revival and the first Christmas special starring David Tennant as the Doctor. It was the first episode of Doctor Who to premiere on Christmas Day since the Feast of Stephen, the seventh part of a 1966 12-part serial, The Daleks' Master Plan. That's with the first Doctor, William Hartnell. However, unlike that episode, the Christmas Invasion was specially commissioned by BBC One to be transmitted outside the program's normal broadcasting season. It was thus the first in the modern tradition of the Christmas special, and its 60-minute running time made it then the longest episode yet produced by BBC Wales. Narratively, it continued the story of Harriet Jones, started the Torchwood story arc, and involved UNIT in its first major appearance in the new series. More importantly, it was the first full story to feature the 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant. Its initial pre-title sequence on the Powell estate was later used to bookend the closing scenes of The End of Time. Its setting was the first and last place on Earth the 10th Doctor saw. To coincide with this release, three short stories were released on the UNIT website. The first was Alien Life, part of the UNIT Press Briefings miniseries, which was set directly in aftermath of the Sycorax invasion, where UNIT confirms that aliens exist. And the second and third, Guinevere 1 and Project Rooftop, part of the Operation Board miniseries, was set during and after the Christmas invasion, respectively, depicting events of the television story from UNIT's perspective. So that is some general info. We will dive now immediately into the plot. Okay. It is Christmas Eve on Earth. As Jackie prepares presents and Mickey works in the local garage, both of them hear the distinctive sound of the TARDIS engines. Rushing out into the street of the Powell estate, they see the TARDIS blink into existence above them. Ricochet of a few buildings and the post van then come to a crashing halt. A freshly regenerated Doctor stumbles out of the police box doors, greets the two of them by name, and wishes them a Merry Christmas before collapsing. Rose follows and, in response to Jackie and Mickey's questions, identifies him as the Doctor. They bring the Doctor to Jackie's flat and dress him in pajamas belonging to Howard, Jackie's current beau, who has the habit of keeping pieces of fruit in his pockets for snacks. Where Rose discusses the Doctor's change of appearance and the fact he has two hearts with Jackie, they do not see a wisp of regeneration energy emerging from the Doctor's mouth, which then floats off into space. On television, Prime Minister Harry Jones and Project Director Daniel Lewin gives a press conference about the Guinevere 1 space probe, which is about to land on Mars. In space, however, the probe is swallowed up by a rock-like spaceship. That evening, Rose and Mickey go Christmas shopping but are attacked by a group of masked Santas armed with lethal musical instruments. Managing to escape when the tuba mortar brings a giant Christmas tree down on the Santas, Rose realizes that their attackers are after the Doctor. She and Mickey rush home in a taxi. When they reach the flat, Rose notices an unfamiliar Christmas tree in the sitting room, which Jackie says was delivered to the door. As they deduce that none of them purchased the tree, it suddenly comes to life, whirling around with razor sharp branches while playing a cheerful rendition of Jingle Bells as it tries to slice them all to ribbons. The tree retreats to the bedroom with the tree in hot pursuit. As Jackie laments the indignity of being killed by a Christmas tree, Rose places the sonic screwdriver in the still comatose Doctor's hand and begs him to help her. Reacting instinctively, the Doctor rises just as the tree bursts through the door and disintegrates it with the screwdriver. He then strides outside the flat to see who was remotely controlling the tree. From ground level, the Santas stare up at the Doctor but transmit away when he threateningly points the sonic screwdriver at him. The Doctor calls them pilot fish before collapsing in pain. He is still regenerating, and energy leaking from his has attracted the pilot fish attention. He tells them he is having a neural implosion because they woke him up too soon. But Jackie keeps interrupting with a stream of increasingly unhelpful suggestions until the Doctor tells her to shut up. He grips Rose, warning her that something bigger is coming, then loses consciousness again. The first signal for Guinevere 1 arrives on television, a snarling alien face which is soon broadcast all over the world. Lewin is escorted by Major Blake to the Tower of London, which houses an underground facility run by UNIT. There, he meets the Prime Minister and her aide, Alex, who tells him that they're putting out a temporary cover story that students in mosques hacked into the television signal. Lewin is shaken to realize that extraterrestrial life does indeed exist and that both the British government and the United Nations are aware of this. A technician, Seth Jacobs, explains that the signal did not come from Mars, but 5,000 miles above the planet's surface, which means that there is a ship and it is moving rapidly towards Earth. As Rose and Mickey use his laptop to access the unit website and monitor their readings, the aliens send another signal to Earth. They speak in a language that Rose does not understand. Normally, the TARDIS would translate it for her, but it seems that with the Doctor unconscious, that function is not working. Rose examines the bedridden Doctor and finds one of his hearts has stopped, meaning he is too injured to be of use and may die if they attempt to wake him again. Back at Unit, Blake orders the use of translation software. With no sign of the Doctor, Jones asks Blake about Torchwood. She knows that she is not supposed to know about them, not even the United Nations knows, but she wants them to be ready. The software translates the message. The aliens are called the Psychorex, and they are claiming the planet as their own, demanding surrender or they will die. Their word for human also appears to be similar to that of cattle, temporary baffling unit. Jones declines to surrender, replying to the Psychorex with a warning that the planet is armed. As dawn rises over London, the Psychorex enact their first move. With a wave of the leader's hand, blue energy sweeps over a third of the world's population, mesmerizing them. The mind-controlled people, Silent Jacobs amongst them, then climb to the highest spots they can find, primarily the roofs of buildings, and stand at the edge of all of them poised to jump. Checking the unit's staff's medical records, Lewin discovers that all the affected people have A plus blood. The Psychorex found a sample of A plus blood that was sent with other materials on Jennifer 1 to identify the human race in case of alien contact, and are somehow using that as control mechanism. Desperate now, Jones gives an emergency broadcast on television, informing the public that the Queen's Christmas speech has been cancelled as the royal family are on the roof, and pleads for the doctor's help if he is out there. Driven to despair by the doctor's comatose state, Rose breaks down in tears in Jackie's arms. Just then, the shock wave of the Cycrex ship entering the atmosphere shatters windows all over the city. The gigantic craft takes position above the Houses of Parliament and an under reconstruction Big Ben as the frightened population watch. Rose, not knowing what else to do, asks Mickey and Jackie to help her move the doctor to the safety of the TARDIS. Jackie gathers food and other supplies, including a thermos flask of tea. The Psychorex teleport Jones, Alex, Blake, and Lewin up to their ship, where the Psychorex leader removes his helmet, revealing a skinless face surrounded by a mantle of bone. His hand hovering over a large glowing button, he demands immediate surrender, or he will order the mind-controlled humans to jump. Lewin tries to reason with the Psychorex, but is reduced to a pile of bones by the leader's energy whip, as is Blake when he protests. The choice is left to Jones. Half of the world will be sold into slavery, or a third will die. As Rose and Mickey move the doctor into the TARDIS console room, Jackie goes back to get more supplies. Rose, having apparently given up, boots by the console as Mickey tries to use the scanner to tune into what is happening, but the time machine's advanced technology is detected by the Psychorex. Outside, Jackie watches helplessly as the TARDIS is transmounted up. Not realizing that they are aboard the Psychorex ship, Rose steps out of the TARDIS and screams when she sees the aliens. Mickey rushes out after her, dropping the flask of tea, which spills and starts dripping through the grills at the base of the console next to the Doctor's unconscious form. Doctor breathes in the subsequent fumes as the tea sparks against various components. Reunited with Harriet Jones, Rose tries to bluff the Psychorex by citing various things and races she has encountered on her travels, commanding them to leave, but is answered with laughter. The Psychorex leader taunts her attempts to pass off second-hand knowledge as authority, but as he gloats, his alien words start being replaced with English. Rose realizes that the TARDIS translation ability is working again, and since the Doctor must be conscious for it to be active, that can mean only one thing. The Doctor is awake! On cue, the Doctor emerges from the TARDIS in Howard's dressing gown, smiling as he says, "Did you miss me?" Easily deactivating the Psychorex leader energy whip and breaking his staff, the Doctor bluntly tells the alien to wait while he gets more important things out of the way, namely, getting reacquainted with his friends. Disappointed at not being Ginger, red haired, and somewhat annoyed at Rose's speed in giving up on him, he tells them that all he needed was a good cup of tea. A superheated infusion of three free radicals and tannin, just the thing for healing the synapses. As the Psychorex leader demands to know who he is, the doctor blindly strides across the ship's floor, nattering on cheerfully and still working out what his personality is like in this new incarnation. He walks up to the glowing button, discovers that it is overpowered by A positive human blood, and quickly deduces that the Cyberx are using blood control. They are controlling all humans with A um, positive blood. So the doctor tells the leader that in his unstable state, when he sees a large glowing button, he just cannot help himself, and to everyone's shock, he pushes it. However, instead of sending the possessed crowds on Earth to their deaths, it simply releases them from the Cycrex control. The doctor explains that blood control is like hypnosis. You can hypnotize someone to cluck like a chicken or sing like Elvis, but you can't hypnotize them to death. Survival instincts too strong. Cycrex were bluffing, and the doctor called them on it. The leader says that they can still conquer Earth by force with an armada, but the doctor demands that the humans be left alone, quoting part of the circle of life from the Lion King in the process, challenging the leader to single combat for the planet. The doctor goads the leader into the fight by insulting him in his native Sycorax. Sick. So the sword fight rages from inside the ship to its exterior. In the midst of it, the leader cuts the doctor's hand off, and it falls into the city below along with his sword. The leader assumes the doctor will yield as he's been disarmed. But while his friends are horrified, the doctor is calm. He notes that he is still within the first 15 hours of his regeneration cycle. Winning, he explains that there's enough leftover energy after the change to rectify any anomalies or missing bits, and his hand regrows. Grabbing a new sword, the doctor notes, this new hand, it's fighting hand, and re-engages the leader in battle, ultimately winning the duel. Doctor pins the leader to the edge of the ship with his sword, commanding him to leave the planet and never return in exchange for sparing his life. As the Sacarax leader appears to yield and Doctor walks back to celebrate his victory with Rose, he attempts a final attack whilst Doctor's back is turned. In response, the Doctor calmly bounces a Satsuma he finds in Howard's dressing gown of a control button, opening a section of the ship's wing beneath the leader, sending the alien plunging to his death. With a now grim expression, the Doctor declares he is a man who doesn't give second chances. The Doctor sends the other Sycorax on her way with a reminder that the planet Earth is defended, and he and his human friends are transmitted back to London to reunite with Jackie. Jones asks the Doctor if there are more aliens out there, and he confirms that there are thousands. The human race is being noticed more and more and is something they will have to get used to. As Jones ponders this, visibly troubled, Alex receives a telephone call and quietly informs Jones that Torchwood is ready. Jones appears reluctant but nevertheless gives the order to fire. The Doctor and his friends watch in shock as five green beams converge into one over London, and the resulting energy burst destroys the Sacred ship as it heads into space. The Doctor is furious with Jones, but the Prime Minister tries to justify the use of the weapon, engineered from a crashed spaceship 10 years previously, as defending the planet. She tells him how Lewin and Blake were mercilessly killed in front of her while the Doctor was asleep, making her realize he cannot be there all the time. Doctor bitterly retorts he should have warned the Sycorax to run, as the real monsters, the humans, are coming. When Jones asks if should consider the Doctor another alien enemy, the Doctor warns her that he can bring her down her government with just 6 words, which he whispers into Alex's ear. Don't you think she's looked tired? Alex gives Jones a startled look, and she demands to know what the doctor just said, growing frantic in her attempts. Everyone else leaves without a word, and Jones can only apologize quietly. While the doctor looks through the TARDIS wardrobe for a new outfit to suit his new incarnation, Jackie, Mickey, and Rose serve Christmas dinner in the flat. Dr. joins them to celebrate. And finally settling on a brown pinstripe suit and a long brown coat. On television, Harriet Jones is seen fending off rumors about her ill health and a pending vote of no confidence in the House of Commons. Outside, what looks like snow is falling over London, accompanied by shooting stars, but a doctor points out that it is in fact ash, the remains of the Cyrex spaceship breaking up in the atmosphere. It is a new start for Earth. However, with so many people seeing the Cyrex ship, there is no covering up the existence of aliens this time. But there are new worlds to see and explore. With a now trusting Rose by his side and eager to continue their travels, the doctor looks up into the sky to choose a star for their next destination, assuring her that it will be, in the words of his previous incarnation, fantastic. So that, my friends and companions, is the end of his Christmas special, The Christmas Invasion. The first story with the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. I will name some cast members. Reddits. The Doctor is played by David Tennant. Rose Tyler is played by Billy Piper. Jackie Tyler is played by Camille Coduri. Mickey Smith is played by Noel Clark. Harry Jones is played by Penelope Wilton. Danny Lewin is played by Daniel Evans. Alex is played by Adam Garcia. The Cycrex leader is played by Sean Giller. Major Blake is played by Sue Omambala. Sally is played by Anita Bryan. Ellen is played by Marvin Williams. Sandra is played by Sean McDowell. Jason is played by Paul Anderson. Mum is played by Katie Murphy. And the policeman is played by Sean Carlson. So that's are some cast members, actors. Some world building about the Doctor. Four things. The Doctor has recently regenerated from his ninth incarnation. Ninth incarnation was is played by Christopher Eccleston. Second thing is that leader of the Sacrus slices off the Doctor's hand. However, the Doctor regenerates the hand as he is still in his first 15 hours of his regeneration cycle. The third thing about the Doctor is that the Doctor assumes he has become rude and expresses dismay that he is not a ginger. And a fourth thing is that Harriet Jones briefly believes the new Doctor is the Ninth Doctor's son, who inherited the title. Some things about the Galactic Law. Rose mentions the Shadow Proclamation. About a world building about biology, the Doctor recognizes the human blood and its blood type by taste. Some cultural references from the real world. The song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is playing. Another thing, rule building in foods and beverages. The chemical components in tea can complete the healing of brain synapses and neurons recovering from the regeneration process. The second thing is that the Doctor finds an apple in the pocket of Howard's bathrobe. And another thing is that the Doctor uses a Setsuma, also found in the pocket of Howard's bathrobe, to defeat the Sacrex leader. Yes, the Setsuma. And fourth thing is that Jackie suggests that the Doctor needs a bowl of soup and a ham sandwich. Another thing with world building with species is that Dalek, Sladine, and the Gelth are all mentioned by Rose. And second thing is that the weapon fired at Sacrex was taken from a Diata sun glider. Some world building in Time Lords, while suffering from post-regeneration stress, the Doctor says that he is having a neuron implosion. Later, in reference to the cure for this malady, he mentions synapses. And some important world building in Torchwood. This is the first time the Torchwood Institute is acknowledged to exist as a physical entity. It was first mentioned during the Weakest Link game on the game station. It's also secret even the United Nations does not know of its existence, and the Prime Minister isn't supposed to know, although Harriet Jones somehow does. Things about UNIT, the United Nations Intelligence Task Force. UNIT has a headquarters in the Tower of London. And last world building in technology, the Hubble array is following the course of the Cyrex ship. Um, some notes. This is the first Doctor Who episode clearly labeled as a Christmas special. Um, and another thing is that this is the first episode of 2005 revival of Doctor Who to air on a Sunday in the UK. Third thing is that David Tennant is credited as the Doctor as opposed to Christopher Eccleston was credited as Doctor Who. The change in the credit was done at Tennant's request. By the way, this occurrence parallels Peter Davis's request for an identical change in credit when he succeeded Tom Baker. Like Tennant, Davidson's first episode would begin this new billing. So, tusen Dank. This story was actively the first since 1989 survivor to credit the role as the Doctor. Another thing is that the middle eighth section of the theme tune is restored in this episode and is heard for the first time in the revived series. I already told about some things about before the episode was broadcast. That was about the tie-in website for the Geneva One project. This was a site. The introduction of Harry Jones, an interview with the project director, Professor Daniel Lewin. So that I already told about that. But following this episode, there was an Attack of the Greske, an interactive mini episode starring David Tennant, and it was made available on the BBC Red Button. Another thing that just before the opening credit sequence, Jackie says the line "Doctor, Doctor Who," continuing a long running in joke. Unlike many instances of the joke, however, the line permanently plays a genuine question since she has never before met the 10th Doctor and knowing nothing of regeneration. Um, um, the opening shot of this episode, in which the Earth and its moon appear, is reused footage from the opening shot of the episode Rose, the first in the new revived series. Um, um, The song being played by the Santa Claus band, which attacks Rose and Mickey, is God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. This song is traditionally associated with the novel A Christmas Carol written by Charles Dickens, whom Dr. Rose met in A Quiet Death. And the song shares its melody with the Venetian lullaby Third Doctor sang in The Demons and the Curse of Paladin. Carol can be heard again in the next Doctor. Of course, the Third Doctor is played by John Pertwee. Another song featured in. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, another thing is that Another thing that a signal intrusion incident that occurred in Chicago during an airing of the Fourth Doctor serial Horror of Fan Rock is referenced by Howard Jones' aide Alex when he says official story of Sacrex appearing with the probe is because of a mask, some sort of prosthetic. Students hijacking the signal. um, Also, another notable thing is that it was the first time a television drama was permitted to film atop the Tower of London. Um, And this is also the first episode to use music performed by the BBC National Orchestra of Wales, in contrast to all previous episodes of the revived series, which used a computer-created soundtrack. Um, Russell D. Davies wrote a script with the Ninth Doctor in mind, the idea being that the characteristics of the Tenth Doctor would emerge from more through David Tennant's portrayal than from scripted lines. Um, okay, other things. We're also thinking about Freema Agaman as it auditioned for the role of Sally Jacobs, but the production team felt she was deserving of a more prominent role. To really play Adeola Oshodi in Army of Ghosts before landing the role of Martha Jones. Um, okay. Um, that's about some things, of some notes. I think I will now do some um, continuity because, yeah, again, there are some things to some extent, stories and episodes in Doctor Who in the universe are to some extent related to each other, are linked to each other, are referenced to each other, and for influence to each other. So there are things in continuity. Okay, some things. The Doctor speaks to PM Prime Minister Howard Jones about how Earth is drawing attention to itself, because a similar statement made by the Brigadier when recruiting Liz Shaw to unit. We see it from TV story Spirit from Space. That is with the third Doctor John Pertwee. Jones's destruction of the Cyclops ship and Doctor's angry reactions are similar to the Brigadier's using explosives to destroy the Silurian hibernation chambers, even as the Doctor departs to begin peace negotiations. You see that in the Doctor Who story, Doctor Who and the Silurians, with the third Doctor John Pertwee. Third thing is that the United Kingdom had previously missions to Mars. We see that in the TV story, The Ambassadors of Death, also with the third Doctor, John Pertwee, and with Prose, The Dying Days. Another thing is that Ice Warriors are actual Martians, which, as stated, look completely different. And there's a link to TV story, The Ice Warriors. While the 10th Doctor, Rose, and Mickey are on Sacred ship, Jackie has an unexpected encounter with the third Doctor, Joe Grant, and Captain Mike Yates, who inadvertently responded to Harry Jones' distress call after it was detected by the third Doctor Stardust. That is in a thing in prose, the Christmas inversion. Another thing is that while the 10th Doctor and Rose were away on the Sacred ship, the Master had broken into Jackie's flat as he defeats him with the third Doctor, Joe Grant, and Mike Yates. As in prose, the Christmas inversion. Another thing is that the robotic centers reappear under control of the Empress of the Ragnos. That's in TV story The Runaway Bride, with it's also a Christmas special with David Tennant and the bride, Donna Noble. Another thing is that Howard Jones questions if Code 9, an immersion protocol, which detected important words such as Doctor and TARDIS, had been activated. We see that in TV story Aliens of London and World War III. dual part story with the Ninth Doctor Christopher Eccleston and the companion Rose Tyler. Another thing is that the Doctor regrows his severed hand as he retains regenerative energy for the first 15 hours in new body, suggesting an explanation for Mana's ability to change her appearance several times during her regeneration. That is in TV story Destiny of the Daleks with the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker. The Doctor's severed hand is later retrieved by Jack Harkness. See that in the Torchwood episode Everything Changes and in the Doctor Who story Utopia. Much later, it would return to the Doctor. We see that in TV story Less of the Time Lords. It bewildered furiously when it sensed the TARDIS flying. We see that in the Doctor's daughter. After the Doctor used it as a receptacle for regeneration energy, something compelled Donna to touch the hand, enabling it to grow into the mid-crisis 10th Doctor, and also turning Donna into the Dr. Donna, leading them to defeat the new Dalek Empire and stop Davros' reality bomb. The real 10th Doctor subsequently took the meta-crisis 10th Doctor to a parallel universe, leaving him to live out his life there with Rose Tyler, and we see that in TV story Journey's End. While rummaging his clothes in search of what should be his new look, the 10th Doctor passes through 2nd Doctor's trousers and jacket, 6th Doctor's waistcoat, is that TV story Two Doctors, and a burgundy scarf. You see it in TV story Leisure Hive Logopolis. In the rest of the wardrobe or room, various items and articles of clothing are visible. From different doctors. So allemaal all things that we can recognize. Okay. During Rose's improvised speech to the Psychorex, she resorts to name-dropping several creatures from her previously travels with the Ninth Doctor. So the Slideen in the Aliens of London, World War III in Boomtown, Gelf in the Unquiet Death, the Mighty Jackraffes in the TV The Long Game, and the Daleks, Dalek, Bad Wolf, The Parting of the Ways. Rose attempts to evoke Article 15 of the Shadow Proclamation. Presumably, she was attempted to recall Convention 15, which the Ninth Doctor had used to approach Nistine consciousness in TV story Rose. The ramifications of the destruction of the Psychorex vessel, including the impact on a group of female and presumably related Psychorex, is explored in comic in The Widow's Curse. It also indicates that the Psychorex leader's proclamation of Fedros Palukia is actually his name. Another thing is that the TARDIS is in motion as it materializes due to Doctors speeding up to break-neck speeds in the time vortex. We see that in the TV story Born Again. This is a children needs special, by the way. It has been materialized, dematerialized in motion before. We see that in the Fury from the Deep and in the Worm games. So the Second Doctor. I will do so again next Christmas in the TV story in The Runaway Brides. One of the things that Jones's statement regarding Doctor not always being available to help the planet is later echoed and discussed by Gwen Cooper. And that is in Torchwood, Children of Earth, and Day 5. Another thing, the third Doctor, John Pertwee, was revived from a trance by coffee. We see that in the TV story Planet of the Spiders. Last on-screen story in the Pertwee era. Another thing is that the Doctor identifies the blood type through taste. Romana demonstrated similar sensory precision in identifying minerals composition through taste. You see that in the Destiny of the Daleks. Another thing is that when the Doctor regenerates into the 11th Doctor, he complains again when he notices that he's still not ginger. See that TV story, The End of Time. The Ninth Doctor previously wondered why he'd never become ginger while examining his reflection in Prose Rose. Another thing is that constructing girders around the clock tower of Big Ben indicate that repair work is still being done following its recent collision with a spaceship. That's a TV star Aliens of London, the Ninth Doctor. Zyrex would later appear to be part of the Pandorica Alliance. We've seen it in the TV story The Pandorica Opus with 11th Doctor Matt Smith. Harriet Jones introduces herself as regularly as Harriet Jones, Prime Minister, to which the common reply is, "Yes, I know who you are." She did the same before becoming Prime Minister, introducing herself to everyone as Harriet Jones, MP for Flydale North. We see that in also in TV story Aliens of London and World War III. She would later continue this as former Prime Minister with a similar response. The TV story The Stolen Earth. Another thing is that the Doctor has previously engaged in sword fights. We see that in the TV story Marco Polo with the first Doctor, Harry and Martineau, the Sea Devils, uh, and it's with the third Doctor John Pertwee. And we see also some sword fights in Mask of Mandragora, the androids of Tara, and that is with also with the Fourth Doctor. And the King's Demons. That is with also that's with the Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison. That's are the sword fights. So the Doctor previously encountered the Psychorex and blood control in his seventh incarnation at the blood bank in the far future in the audio of Harvest Psychorex. Another thing is that by seeing the downfall of Harry Jones as Prime Minister, the 10th Doctor evidently triggered a cascade of events that would end up with his demise. The Doctor and future companion Martha Jones arrived at Malcaseri in the year by accident. They also found that Jack Harkness hitched onto the TARDIS exterior and was dragged through the time vortex, trying to reunite with the Doctor after being left behind at the game station when he was made immortal by the Bad Wolf. TV story The Parting of the Ways. The group met Professor Yana, who Martin noticed had a watch. After her experience with the community arts, she thought Yana was a benevolent Time Lord that became human, but Yana's true identity belonged to the Master, who had fled the Time War. After regenerating, he stole the Doctor's TARDIS and fled to the planet. The Doctor tampered with his TARDIS to trap him on Earth, human nature and utopia. Joe's removal from power allowed the Section Master to replace her on the identity of Harold Saxon, though he was later removed from power and shot by Lucy Saxon for tormenting her. He chose to die rather than regenerate into a new incarnation at life and live a life of captivity. See the sound of drums and less of the Time Lords. Another thing is that the disciples of Saxon, the Master followers, resurrected him, but Lucy again tried to kill him, managed to damage his new body at the price of her own life. The crippled Master was soon recruited by Joshua Naismith to work on the immortality gate for his intellect. The Master sabotaged the gate and used it to make the Master race. Then retrieved Gallifrey and the Nisans from the Time War with the help of the White Point Star in TV story The End of Time. Another thing is that during the Master's confrontation with Lord President Westland, US could trapped worker in the gate's radiation booth took his place. Booth's anti-leak security measures only allowed one person to exit, while another person had to be locked inside. We see that in TV story The End of Time. And another thing about the fact that by seeing the downfall of Harry Jones as Prime Minister, the 10th Doctor immediately triggered a cascade of events that would end up with his demise. And the last thing in this is that that the Doctor cut the link holding Gulliver out of the Time War, but sent the Time Lords back into the battlefield. The Master joining them. However, he left the Immortality Gate nuclear bolt running. It went into meltdown, and the excess radiation would have dumped into the containment booth, but Wilf is still inside. Try to operate the booth in any way would have same result in order to rescue Wilf. The Doctor had to enter the booth and expose himself to the radiation, leading to his regeneration. TV story, The End of Time. So actually, we see that all these events was caused. The cause of this all was seeding the downfall of Harriet Jones as prime minister. So the Tenth Doctor eventually triggered a cascade of events that lead to his demise. We see that all worked out in all the stories after that, and I named the stories now till the regeneration. Actually, very interesting how one decision can make you or break you. We see that in this case. Okay. Another thing is that on Christmas Eve 2006, an older version of the Tenth Doctor returned to London on the day that his newly regenerated self was battling the psychorexs above the city. On that occasion, he visited a young patient at St. Nicholas Hospital, Daniel Francis Thompson, and helped him awaken from his coma. We see that in prose, the deep and dreamless sleep. And last thing in continuity is that the Tenth Doctor mentions Arthur Dent. Arthur was previously seen alongside Zephod Bibelbrax inside the Time Lord prison, Shada. And we see Shada. And we'll write about the Doctor on the website Doctor Who. And we see the prose. That is, have you seen this man? So, and that, my friends and companions, is all I have to say about this TV story, this Christmas special, the Christmas Invasion. There are a lot of continuity things in this story. Uh, yeah, very logical if you think of the fact that this is a first story in the the first Tenant era, and yeah, of course, uh, things like, for example, that the example that I gave with rummaging his clothes in search of what he should be his new look, and then Doctor passes through the second Doctor's trousers and jacket and says the waistcoat. But there are also other things, for example, a brass pillar from an unearthly child at all, and third Doctor's Inverness cape hanging next to the pillar in Terror of the Outlands. Sixth Doctor coat on the other side of the pillar in the twin dilemmas, for example. And one of Stephen Taylor's jumpers next to the coat in the Celestial Toymaker. A Grand Mirror in TV story Questor Valva. And Kubla Khan's cane against the mirror and Marco Polo et al. A wooden trunk in TV story The Power of the Daleks. And the Seventh Doctor's umbrella in a bucket. The Sixth Doctor's umbrella. The Fifth Doctor's Panama hat on this umbrella. The Second Doctor's stovepipe hat. The Third Doctor's feeder hat. And the Fourth Doctor's brown fedora hat on the spiral of stairs on the room in TV story Robert and All. Elida's cloak hanging on the room in TV story The Daleks. A Fourth Doctor-like outfit with a long coat and long yellow and red scarf hanging from the very headstand of this incarnation. And there's a kilt and green Edwardian coat from TV story, the television movie Doctor Who. So there are so many things in this continuity, more and more things. And every time we watch this story, I discover new things. With all more episodes and the story, the case that I discover new things I recognize from other previous things. Let's make it so very very funny to watch Doctor Who, and Yeah, in this case, this story, this Christmas special, so things you can recognize from previous incarnations, previous stories, and things. So much to talk about. I can talk about it for hours and hours. But yeah, watch this Christmas special for yourself again, and you recognize the things. So some commercial and no end. Um, So, Sci-Fi Fantasy Fans News channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and a special place on this channel for Doctor Who. Random Cause will discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. Random Cause will broadcast non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. And also, because we have no guests or different guests. It depends on Jomi in the live stream or panel. If you want Jomi in live stream, feel free to contact me via. You can put a comment on one of the YouTube videos, or you can visit me on meet me on Discord server, and we look what is possible. And the Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Tag Doctor Who. And of course, feel free to invite me for a channel for a live stream or panel. I also want to contribute on your channel and talk about things we are interested in. So feel free to invite me also for that. Yes. So cheers, mate, and have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. That's me. That's me. So I'm looking forward to meet you. See you next time. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Bye bye.